Whether you're DIY or looking to hire, we're here to help you find the best information and options for you and your home. My name is Kevin Hackett, and here with me is Craig Williams.
Hello, and welcome to the Homeowner Show. We're so glad that you could join us. Live episode here in the studio. How you doing, Kev?
You know what? I think I'm okay.
Think you're okay?
I think I'm okay. It's been a week.
It's been a week.
And isn't it Monday?
It is Monday.
Tomorrow is Tuesday, which is the day this episode will come out. But if you're watching live, the bumpity bump. It's been a while since we've had that.
Yeah. Hello, old friend.
That's right. If you're listening to this live, it's already been a week and it's Monday.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
You know,
So,
how are you?
I'm good, man. We got a cool episode for you guys. We're gonna be talking some politics with the whole Trump rally assassination attempt, which I think that's like a word that's been banned, but I don't even know.
We'll get into that.
We'll get into that, yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to be talking about that. We're also going to be talking about some hurricane prep that Kevin and I did to get ready for Beryl, which apparently there's some confusion over the name.
There was confusion. There is no longer any confusion. It is not Beryl, which is what I thought it was. So shocker that I would think something wrong.
We learned a thing or two about naming hurricanes.
Yes, we did. Well, yeah, and let's just put it out there real quick. I mean, if you don't know, it's the first one's male, the second one's female, the next one's male, the next one's female, and so that's the way they do it.
To all of you that hate your daughters, here's a great name for you.
Yes, that's right. And apparently, according to the National Hurricane Center, it is Beryl. Yeah, bear like the paint, they said, and with a rill on the end.
Rill.
It's the dumbest description ever.
Yeah, if this is your name out there, please send us a note. We'd love to get to meet you.
Yeah. Yes, we'll let you come on the show and defend yourself.
Bless your heart.
Bless your heart.
All right, before we get into it, we want to thank our sponsors. We got Lone Star Appliance Repair. Guys, if you look, here, at least here in the Houston area, we just had a lot of appliances take a beating.
Yes, they did.
Either they had, inconsistent power or power surges, or maybe they got some water damage from the hurricane. Anyway, we got a lot of appliances that are down for the count, but not for long. If you call Lone Star Appliance Repair, they can probably get them back up and running and get your house back to normal. Before you know it, they've got the parts, they've got the staff, they got the techs, they got the office people ready to send out help.
That's it.
To get your appliances back up and running. Or maybe you just have an old appliance that you got a lot of love and memories with, and you just want to restore it.
It'll be cheaper.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as it's not like a massive problem, it'll be cheaper to pay someone to repair it than it will be to buy something new.
Right. Yeah. So give them a call. Kev, you got the number?
It is 936-647-2364, 936-647-2364, and you can also text that number.
Yeah, absolutely. They'll get somebody to you.
That's right.
This show is also sponsored by True Texas Solar. Let me tell you, these guys' phones have been ringing off the hook.
You think it's time to get solar?
I can't tell you the number of social media posts that I saw. I was like, how are you solar people faring out there? And every single one was like, we're doing fine.
We're good.
Yeah, we got the solar power panels. We got the battery. House
the generator
is powered up. Not only that, in the midst of the storm and everything, CEO over there, Josh, went out and bought it was like a trailer full of portable generators.
Yep.
And he was
the one that I use.
Oh, is it the one you use?
The one I have in my house.
Yeah, and he was selling them, and some people were like, well, how dare you try and price he was not price gouging anybody. I know the cost of those things.
They're just actually really good generators. And they're expensive because they're tri-fuel, which means they're gasoline and propane and natural gas.
Which they're fantastic.
They're fantastic.
And so he was really just trying to help people, get people power, because you get a tri-fuel and you especially in a situation like this, because you don't know what people have access to. And let me tell you, getting gasoline during this hurricane was a nightmare.
It's been awful.
If you weren't prepared, it was a nightmare.
Yep.
And so, but maybe you have natural gas, maybe you have some propane tanks, and you can get that generator up and running. Anyway, they came to the rescue, helped a lot of people out, got people back up on their feet, got power into their houses. Honestly, most people weren't looking for air conditioning; they were just looking to save their food.
Right.
So anyway, these guys are here to help. They're gonna provide you with a well thought out plan to get your house off the grid. You can't technically get off the grid, I know, but they want you to be your own power
as
plant.
close as you can.
Yeah. And so that way, when things like this happen, you have options that other people don't.
That's right.
So give them a call. Kev, what do we got for them?
936-286-8325. That's 936-286-8325.
Yeah, and call any of our sponsors. Let them know you heard about it on the Homeowner Show. That way they know that we're actually doing our job.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Letting people know. All right, man. What a crazy couple of weeks.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where when it comes to hurricanes, people in Houston know that they're coming at some point. But I think we forget because, I mean, the last one that we really had to deal with was Harvey.
Right.
That was 2017. So it's been 7 years. And, you know, first of all, there are a lot of people that move into the area since that time. People have been coming from California like in droves. And I just think that people generally think, oh, it'll be fine. We can ride it out for a little bit.
Right.
Let me tell you what. Hurricane Harvey was a completely different storm than this because Hurricane Harvey came in, set over the city of Houston and the, you know, this kind of southeast area for about 4 days. And it just dumped rain, almost 60 inches of rain over that amount of time.
There was a whirlpool at the end of my property.
Yes.
I mean, it was nuts.
Yes, it was crazy. And so this storm is, I've heard a lot of people liken it to Ike.
I think it's a fair comparison.
Yeah, and so basically this thing, pun intended, barreled in here, and it just came through, and it just kept moving, went all the way through. But you got 80 to 100 mile an hour winds coming through, just ripped trees out of the ground, splintered things like crazy. I mean,
I've never seen so many down trees.
Yeah. I mean, they're everywhere.
I think this is like a compounded thing that we have. So we had like the winter storm that kind of weakened a lot of trees.
It did.
And they probably recovered. But then we had the massive drought last year.
I was going to say the drought was what made things really bad.
Really bad. And I think some of those roots kind of, came back up.
They did. And then we had crazy amounts of rain at the beginning of the summer.
Softened all the dirt up.
Softened all of it.
And when the wind came, it just knocked everything over.
Knocked it over.
We had one in our neighborhood. The tree fell on the power line and ripped it out of a house.
Oh my goodness!
And so we had a power line underneath the tree.
Oh,
yeah. And then there was another one where and that was on a loop, so it was okay. People could still get to their properties. But there was another one that fell across the road, and it landed on top of a gas line.
Oh man!
And so, but like we got out there and got half of it cut off. And it was on the side of the road that wasn't the gas line. And as soon as we got that out, I mean, we got out of the way because right about that time, the fire department showed up because we called them and said, hey, gas. And we didn't know if it had been punctured or what, but we just knew some people were trapped.
Sure.
And so we moved quick to try and get the tree out of there.
Yeah. It was just one of those storms that, the aftermath caused such widespread power outage and a lot of destruction. A lot of people who have trees on their house, they have trees blocking their house, they have trees through a window. Lots of those types of things happen. But, again, the biggest concern that people have, like you said, was not having power. Right. And one of the nice things about the end of a hurricane is the first day-ish afterwards tends to be kind of cool.
Yeah.
The temperature's mild.
It was like at
really
night,
helpful.
It was like in the mid 60s. It was low 70s the next morning. It felt like but then it heated up.
Of course. And then like 2 days later had like a massive heat wave, really, with excessive heat warnings all over the place.
Yep.
And so, people without power, people without the way to get power, and we still have people today. We're a week to the day away from the storm.
Right.
People still, many millions of people still without power.
I think right now we're somewhere between 400,000 and 500,000.
Okay,
that are without right now.
So I'm a little bit off there.
No, I mean like
it's
a day ago you were probably not wrong.
And so people are pointing their fingers at one company in general. But here's the thing, and I'm not giving a pass to anybody. But what I am going to say is certain companies service certain areas. And if you're in a certain area where it was worse than another area and you had power stations that are taken out, then you had lines that are not just down, but they're broken.
Right.
And now you got to get new supply in, new materials in, then you got to get enough people to put it in, and they have to start at the station, then go to the lines, and then go to people's houses. Like there's a process for how that happens. And so I know a lot of people are really upset. They're going, hey, how dare they put us in a situation where we have no power? And again, I'm not giving anybody a pass. What I am saying is I really don't think these companies are going, well, let's just screw these people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's just make sure they don't get power for a little while.
I don't know all the details on how that works. I mean, like I know the company you're talking about, Centerpoint.
It is.
I mean, people dog on it. I mean, it's not hard to find. People dog on it all the time. We can't really speak to it because you and I aren't Centerpoint customers.
We don't have it. Never have.
And we're Mid-South people.
That's right.
And like even for us, man, like we've been at this property close to 10 years now. This is the first time we've been without power for multiple days.
Yeah, which we didn't have that problem. We were out of power for 18 hours.
Right.
We were fortunate as far as that goes. But I think that there were a lot of Mid-South customers that had less, more time without power. But again, I think that there is somewhere along the line where ERCOT and some of these other, down the line where we're going, man, our grid has to get fixed. Something has to get fixed. Now, the down power lines, I don't know what to do about that. I mean, you got trees falling on the lines, breaking them, busting up power stations, all this kind of stuff. Those are massive problems.
Right.
And unless you have a scenario where you've got underground electrical lines running, which a lot of the Woodlands actually does have,
yes,
then you're going to deal with power lines. Yeah. It just is what it is.
Well, even though a lot of the Woodlands is buried, they still had a lot of people without power for multiple days.
They did.
So it doesn't. You can't put everything completely underground.
No. But
a lot of people are saying, like, look, if we could put most of it underground, we could have avoided a lot of this.
A lot of it.
And what a lot of people are pointing out is, and rightfully so, is like, look, we are getting no say as to how we spend our tax dollars. and so like we're sending gobs of money to like support wars and all this kind of stuff. Like, could we take a portion of that and just fix our grid?
Right.
And I don't think they're being ridiculous.
No, I don't either.
And it's not that there's not causes that are worthy of supporting, and we need to support our allies and all this kind of stuff. But at some point, and here's the thing, I think both parties need to just fess up and be like, look, if you're not happy with the way that your tax dollars are being spent, vote somebody else in.
True.
I mean, it's just
you have. We do have a little power.
We have, yeah,
we do.
So I mean, and look at the person who represents you, and look at their record as to how they voted to spend your money.
That's right.
And if you're not happy with that, vote for the other person.
Yeah, or vote at all,
or just vote.
There's so many people that just don't vote.
Yeah,
and you do know that, like, if you work for a business, they have to let you off to go vote.
Oh, yeah.
You do know that, right? Like, if you don't, listen to me. They have to let you off to go vote.
I know that, but like every year, it's like voting should be a national holiday, and it's like
no, it doesn't need to be.
They have to let you off.
They have to. They have to let you off, and it's going to take you all 20 minutes to go do it or
also,
whatever.
The polls are typically open after business hours.
Yes, they are.
So
or before business hours.
Or before business hours.
That's right.
So anyway, there's a way to remedy this.
There is.
I don't know that burying them is like the.
I mean, can you imagine the amount of infrastructure problems that would cause to try to bury all of the lines that we have around here?
I don't know that it would. I mean, because you could probably do it simultaneously.
Maybe.
Keep the lines in the air while you bury the new ones.
I'm just thinking, like, all of the places that you got to bury, like, just massive amounts of digging.
Well, I mean, but we have companies like we interviewed the CEO of Tacus.
Yeah.
Those guys have been burying lines.
Yeah, they have.
Everywhere in Montgomery County.
And they're doing it.
And they're the fastest growing internet provider around, and they're killing it.
That's a good point.
So, I mean, like, there are people out there that understand how to do this.
Yep.
And how to keep people happy in the process. And I'm not saying that data lines are the same as power lines. I know that they're different.
Sure.
But, I mean, burying something is burying something to a certain degree.
Yep.
So, like, we could figure it out.
Yep. There's a lot of actual tunneling that happens more than burying, if you really want to look at it that way.
Sure.
Yeah.
And the infrastructure might already be there.
It might be.
All we know.
I don't know. Well, I know this, like, so we have Mid-South. You mentioned that earlier. So when we put my mother-in-law's home in, our transformer, which is above ground, would not carry an entire load for her circuit. So they put in a new transformer on our property that would actually be able to hold hers and ours if we really wanted to change, and it was buried. So I think if nothing else, like anytime you got to go in and fix something, just fix it by changing it.
Yeah.
You know, there may be,
And when you do it the best way possible.
that's right. There may be an alternative way to do that, but I think we should kind of talk a little bit about like, what did you do, and then how did your family, or how does your home kind of survive the whole thing, and I'll talk about mine too.
Yeah, I mean, what I definitely want to talk about in this episode is some of the things that you and I did,
Right.
and like things that we learned.
Sure.
So we had generators.
Yep.
And,
Multiple.
Well, by the time it was over, yeah.
Okay.
So I had mine.
Okay.
And my father-in-law went and got another one.
Okay.
2 days in.
Where did First of all, what did you have, and where did he find one, and what did he get?
Oh, he had a friend that had one.
Oh,
And
okay.
it was a Ryobi.
Okay.
I mean, it was pretty standard.
Okay.
It was a cool little generator.
Sure.
Mine is a Briggs & Stratton, and I think we figured out the other day it's about 18 years old.
Oh, wow.
It is a beast.
And Briggs & Stratton is one of the best motors ever built for small engines.
And I think it's like 8,500
okay.
watts.
Okay.
I mean, back up a little bit. Friday, before the hurricane hit, we had put 300 pounds of beef in the deep freeze from a cow that we had raised and split with my dad.
Okay.
And so when I saw that hurricane coming, I was like, look, I don't care about much, but that's a lot of money sitting in that deep freeze.
Yeah, it is.
So
that's a lot of.
I
money.
was like, I don't care what happens, I'm not losing that. And so I
Sure.
was honestly more prepared because of the cow than anything. So we had probably 20, 30 gallons of gasoline.
Okay. Did you have those in like regular?
Yeah, just
red cans.
Yeah, just regular red cans.
So you had a bunch. You had probably 6 of those then.
Yeah.
Okay.
And but like I'm fortunate. I have a really big shop.
Yeah.
I can store a lot of stuff.
Sure.
A lot of people don't have that.
Correct. Yep.
That ability.
Yep.
So we had the ATVs all gassed up. We had the 4-wheeler gassed up. I mean, we had everything gassed up before anything hit.
Right.
So in that regard, we were plenty prepared.
Okay.
We had plenty of food because the deep freeze was full, and plenty of water. We'd stocked up on water, and so like all the normal hurricane things were done.
Okay.
We had plenty of extension cords. I mean, we basically ran the generator during the day and turned it off at night.
Okay.
And just because I didn't want to have to like get up in the middle of the night and
pour more gas in.
Yeah, or just mess. I didn't want anything to happen to it while I couldn't be around.
Sure.
One of the other things that we did, so our house is, because it's 3 stories, the second and third story got really hot during the day.
I'm sure it did.
Not only because like it was just Texas and hot,
yeah,
but like our kitchen's on the second floor, and so anytime we cooked food, it just heated up.
Right.
Everything.
But you have a gas stove, right?
Yes.
So that you can still cook on that. Is your oven gas, or is it
Our
electric?
oven is gas, but you have to have electricity to run it.
Okay.
So, but I don't care.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean, we also have like all of our grills and propane cookers. I mean, like, we could cook food.
Sure.
No problem. And our water heater is gas as well.
Okay.
And that ran the whole time.
Yeah.
So we were able to take, hot showers if we wanted to.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is at night, I brought the swamp cooler in the house.
Okay.
And that dropped the temp 20, 25 degrees.
Oh, I bet.
Because we were running the fridges during the day, we could make ice.
Oh, yeah.
And so I would empty the ice makers into the swamp cooler.
Nice.
And so it was running ice water.
Nice.
Through that thing, and it cooled off everything. It did. I mean, it wasn't as good as like air conditioning by any stretch of the, but like it made it comfortable.
Right.
So we were able to sleep, and that made things.
Were you running that off the Ryobi generator, or were you running that off your main generator?
We were running that off the main generator.
Okay, because I was thinking you said you shut that off.
We did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but like we would we would keep it running all day long.
Okay, yeah.
And so it kept that downstairs nice. So once the sun went down.
And your downstairs tends to stay cool because of there being 2 stories above it.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and like just tons of tree shade and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And
you've also got an 8-foot porch all the way around your house that also keeps
keeps the
shade
sun
off
from
of
coming in
your
the windows.
windows.
Yeah. Yep. So we have lots of there's many things that help keep it very efficient downstairs.
Right.
But there were several things that I was super happy to have access to.
Okay.
One is this little beauty right here. It's a Ryobi inverter.
Nice.
And I think you were telling me before the show you'd never seen.
I'd never seen it.
So we bought these for our business to go in our guys' trucks because we use Ryobi products out in the field all the time.
Right.
There's guys out there laughing at me. I don't care. Like it's a good it's a good product.
Yeah.
Good warranty.
Yeah.
But it is a 120 volt AC plug.
That's
when
awesome.
you have a battery in it. Now I will tell you this: it doesn't last for long.
Sure.
But like if you need, like we used it one night just to run a fan upstairs.
Okay.
While we were cooking, because we didn't have electricity up there.
Right.
But it really helped, and it was nice just to have that option.
Right.
You could use it to plug a lamp in.
Okay.
I mean, like all sorts of things.
Yeah.
I mean, anything that's 120, you can plug it into here.
Sure.
Now it ran the battery down
pretty quick.
I will say this:
what kind of amp hour battery did you have on it?
A 4 amp.
A 4 amp. Okay.
Yeah. And because the smaller ones are 2.
They're 2.
Yeah. I will say this: that was another thing that I did is I think I have like 15 Ryobi batteries.
They were all charged.
Yeah. Ready to go.
Yeah.
Because one when the day after the storm, we needed to cut limbs.
Oh yeah.
And so we've got that reciprocating saw.
Right.
And that's great for cutting little limbs and getting stuff out of the way.
It is.
And then I was running the chainsaw, which again, that's another thing.
Yep.
I think at least for us, I mean, like people that live in neighborhoods that have trees are now realizing like, hey, maybe I should have had a chainsaw.
Right.
Because they really needed one when one fell on their house or
And I will say that's one of the things that, here on this show, we advocate for electric tools.
Sure.
And, I've said often, if I get a chainsaw, I'm probably going to go buy the Ego chainsaw, which, in a situation like this, you go, man, don't know if that's the best choice.
Right. Yeah. I was going to say, I don't know that I would have wanted an electric one in this instance because I
agree.
Once that battery goes down, you're
sunk.
I mean,
you can't charge it back up.
Well, I mean, you could plug it into your generator.
Yeah, well, you could,
but it's probably going to take like 2 hours. To recharge.
Right. Unless you have plenty of batteries for that.
Unless you have plenty. Oh yeah, if you could be prepared that way.
Sure.
But we had plenty of gasoline to run that thing.
Right.
We cut up some logs.
I bet.
Because we had 2 or 3 trees.
Okay.
None fell, but we had like one split like really big.
Oh, really?
That was a big mess.
Oh, I bet.
I'm still cleaning that up in the front pasture.
Yeah.
One was just a dead tree that like after the storm it hadn't fallen, and I was like, nuts to this. I'm not having this fall on somebody.
Right.
I'm just gonna cut it down.
Yeah.
So I felled a tree.
Nice.
The other thing I was super happy to have was this bad boy.
Oh, yeah.
Which this is, to date, still our best performing video on YouTube.
Awesome.
Which, the Nova, by the way, thank you guys. Dude, this is still my favorite flashlight.
That's awesome. For
those of you that don't know, it's solar rechargeable. This thing can recharge. It's got a USB port right there. It's USB. It's not C.
Mini?
Yeah. No, it's like the one with like the curve.
Yeah, it's a mini.
Is that mini?
USB.
And then regular USB.
Or micro. Sorry,
micro USB.
That's what I meant.
And then regular USB, like 3.0 or whatever that is. It'll recharge my iPad like 3 times.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang.
The battery in this thing is awesome.
Because, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. So, so it's got that, and then obviously it's got the light.
And the lighter.
And the plasma lighter.
Yeah.
And then also tungsten break glass.
Yeah.
And then, like, I didn't realize this, but like the lens, if in a pinch, you can take that bad boy off and you can start a fire with that.
Sure. Yeah. I burned lots of ants that way.
Yeah. So super cool. And I typically carry this thing with me everywhere I go.
Sure. You never know.
Yeah. So, but I actually had I had a buddy, his name's Dave Shannon. He runs the men's ministry at our church. I'm actually wearing his shirt tonight.
Okay.
And stuff.
Nice.
So he puts together hunts and all kinds of stuff. But I'm in a Bible study with him, and all the guys in that group. He put together a survival canister, and it's got all kinds of stuff. I can't even list all the stuff in it, but it's like a little can like this big.
Okay.
It's got like water purification, fishing supplies. I mean, just
wow,
medical supplies, like everything that you would want, like in an emergency to put in your backpack, and if you got to head out the door,
okay,
it would be like a part of your bug out kit.
Wow, nice.
But like, and I was going through it, and I was like, so many people need to. That's the thing is when we start talking about like hurricane prep, is people go to what do I need to thrive,
right?
You know, and so like that typically goes to, well, I need the whole home generator so I can have my air conditioning, so I can have my television, so I can have my internet, so I can
right.
And where my brain goes, and you and I were talking a little bit about this before the show. My brain's kind of weird, like because I go to the worst case scenario.
Right.
I'm like, what do I need to literally survive?
It's a good question.
Like, what would I have to have on my person? Like, I lose everything. What would I have to have on my person to survive?
Yeah.
And that's a much different question.
It is.
Than like, how do I like maintain the property so that I don't get uncomfortable?
No, absolutely.
And I think there's a lot of people. I was talking to a guy this morning, like his power just came on this morning, you know.
Wow.
And when you get into like day 3, day 4 of no power, no internet, no all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Like those are the questions you begin to ask yourself, like, should I have thought about this? Should I have considered that?
Right.
Why didn't I prepare and have something in place so that my family is not without water?
Right.
So that my family isn't without food. So that my family, you know, isn't cooking themselves alive in our home.
Right.
You know, thankfully, you know, the roads weren't shut down and people could get like we had people come stay with us that had been without power for several days.
Sure.
Thankfully theirs came back on.
Yeah.
But like these are like actual questions that people need to ask, and it's not expensive to do a little bit of prep.
No, it's really not.
Like at some point I'll have to bring the canister in here and just kind of go through it with everybody. But like I bet you, he spent less than $20 on each of us putting that thing together. But like it's stuff that could actually be
really beneficial,
really, really helpful.
Yeah.
And like there's also like fun things. Like we bought my son, have you heard of Life Straw?
Oh yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah, that's super cool.
And like he loves taking it out in the woods.
Random places.
Yes, he's like, what can I drink out of?
Yeah. Anything pretty much.
Yeah. Like
puddle of standing water, go for it,
get
buddy.
you some, Bubba.
Yeah.
And it works.
It does work.
So
it does work.
Yeah, like it, and like he started to put together like a backpack of like stuff that he wants. You know, when we go out in the woods, stuff that he's always got the Life Straw.
That's awesome.
So
gotta love that.
Oh yeah.
Well, our situation was a little bit different. First of all, I left.
Yeah, you kind of a draft dodger.
Yeah, I had a business trip, and so I left. And took my kids with me where I was going. My parents lived not too far from that, so they came and picked them up, and they stayed with them for the week. We knew the hurricane was coming, but that we had planned that trip for my kids months and months in advance.
Right.
And, same thing with my trip; it was planned months and months in advance. So
right. You're not
so I left.
You're
right. Yeah.
Lucky.
But my wife was here and my mother-in-law.
Uh-huh.
Now, my mother-in-law's house is all electric, and so if we lose power, she's pretty much resigned to if she would have to have a generator to run things off electricity. We've also looked at it and gone, okay, we've got it. So we do have a portable generator, but it's a big generator. It's a 13,000 watt generator. And it runs on 3 different fuel types. One of the reasons we got the portable one instead of go with a whole home, like standalone generator, is because I wanted to be able to run my camper off of it too. If I ever wanted to take my camper boondocking somewhere, I wanted to be able to do that with a generator. It's a really big, really heavy generator.
Right.
the thing I was at the time, I bought the largest tri-fuel that was on the market. Now that same company, it's Duramax. That same company has come out with a 15,000 watt generator, and I'm like, oh, that sounds awesome. But nevertheless, here's the problem with our house: if we don't have power, we don't have water.
Right, because you have a well.
Because we have a well, so we have to have power in order to generate water. And so, but before the storm came, I went ahead and got the generator out, got it hooked up. One of the things that we did as soon as we moved in because of that problem is we got the generator, and we also we already had natural gas at the house, but we put in a line, a 1-inch line. It was a pretty long run, cost quite a bit. Shout out to Burke Electric for
Burke
Plumbing, sorry, for getting our gas going. And they came out and ran a great system for us. And so I got it all hooked up, ready to go, even turned on the generator, made sure that everything was running, that it was easy, easy startup for them and everything. Dude, that generator's so nice. It's got like a remote start on it.
Nice.
Like it's pretty sweet. But so the hurricane came, and sure enough, lost power about 8:00 on Monday morning. And so my wife was like, I'm going to let the rain quit. So sometime around noon, 1:00, she went out and got the generator started. And we've got an interlock system, manual interlock, which means on our main circuit breaker, you turn the main breaker off, slide up this little plate, and then turn on a 50-amp breaker.
Right. That
50-amp breaker will run anything else in that entire panel because it's hooked up to the main nodes. So she did all of that and, got everything turned back on. But we couldn't get any of our she couldn't get any of our large circuits on. So anything over a 30 amp, she couldn't get to come on.
Oh.
So our water wouldn't come on. The oven or the dryer, which we're not going to probably use those anyway. We do have a gas stove. We've also got a gas water heater, but like our air conditioner wouldn't come on either. Which all our generator will power all of that.
Right.
We're not going to try to run the AC and the dryer at the same time.
Sure,
but we can run the AC and the well at the same time. Because the well's going to turn on, do its thing, and turn off. It's not going to,
figure out why she couldn't do it.
Well, no, not at the time. I mean, what was crazy is everything else in the house was working. So all the fans, all the lights, all the outlets, all that kind of stuff. But one of the things we knew going in was that our circuit panel labels were mostly right, but not all right.
Okay. So
her and her mom went through and tested every circuit. So now we know what everything is, which was really, really great.
Yeah.
What better time to do that?
Sure.
But never could get the bigger circuits to come on. I was like, look, turn everything off, turn the generator off, turn it back on, just kind of go through the whole sequence again. Never could really get it to work. There was one fail point that I'll come back to. So then power came back on only about 18 hours later, which is great. 1:00 in the morning, the next morning it came back on. And but the next morning, so everything was on except our water. We didn't have any water. And so they were like, look, we checked the breaker, we did this, we did that. And I was like, well, there's nothing, it was never on, so there's nothing that could have happened. Something's just not working right. I said, just call the well company and just see what they can do. They're probably slammed. So she called, and sure enough, they're slammed. But they just happened to be in our neighborhood. So they got there at 11 o'clock that morning.
Oh, wow.
And just found out that the 30-amp breaker that powers our shop and our well and all that kind of stuff, we had power to the shop. The well just wouldn't come on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, those 30-amp breakers, they've got 2 poles on them, right?
Right.
Both of them had not engaged. So the breaker just needs replaced.
Oh.
It's not. Here's one thing to know: breakers don't get weak.
Right.
That's not a thing. So if you think, I've just got a weak breaker, that's not a thing. It may be broken, but it's not weak. So it either works or it doesn't. That's why it's called a breaker.
Right.
So, but the guy came over and he goes, look, for some reason, only one side of the pole was closing whenever you flip it. And so he flipped it off, flipped it back on. It came back on. And he was like, if I were you, I would just replace the breaker. It's probably just the breaker is not engaging the way it needs to every time. So, anyway, I get home on Saturday from my trip, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to test the generator because something's weird. It showed that it's got a digital readout on it. Something's weird because it's showing it'll produce 240, but it's not sending 240, I guess. Something's weird because I couldn't get those circuits to come on. So I called my brother-in-law because I had an electrical question. He's the electrician, and he's like, are you about to work on it right now? And I go, yeah. And he goes, I'll be there in 20 minutes. And I'm like, you live 7 hours away. What are you doing? He was like, we're headed to Galveston. We're going on a cruise. So it's like, I didn't even know. So 20 minutes later, he shows at my house, and he's way smarter than I am with electrical stuff. So he gets my multimeter and starts checking everything. Everything checks out. Everything's working. The generator's producing what it should. The cord is fine. Everything on the breaker panel is fine. And he said, most likely, whenever she flipped that 50 amp breaker, it didn't close. That something, for some reason, didn't close. That's the one thing that she didn't turn back off and turn back on was that 50 amp breaker. And here's something just to know. The little, so when you see those big breakers, there's a little bar in between the two switches. That doesn't do anything. It's still two switches that have to engage. Right. That little bar just kind of visually shows they're both on. Right. So I think that's what happened. Whenever she used that bar, she probably got the bottom of it as her thumb is flipping it, and the top one didn't engage all the way. So we were getting 120, but we weren't getting 240,
which is why everything
else wasn't working.
That makes sense.
So we turned everything back on, and turned the generator on, and then put that 50 amp on. And when we tested it, the air conditioner popped on, so it worked. So all that to say, we were actually fine. We didn't have water through that time, but we had pool water. So she was flushing the toilet with pool water. But I think all that to say, natural gas is nice because it can run indefinitely as long as there's not a gas issue. Right. If there is, you should probably have some gasoline for backup just in case. We had all our cars gassed up. We were prepared if we needed to. We could go stay in the camper. We could turn the air conditioner on that, and we had the generator. We didn't put gasoline in it. We were prepared as far as that goes. But, we were very fortunate. We didn't have any trees down. We had some limbs down, but, one of the things that we've done is we've spent some money and trimmed our trees up really, really well. We've taken out dead trees or almost dead trees, and we've done a lot of tree work in our yard. That doesn't mean everything, but we were good. Yeah. And then, we had a lot of limbs down, but by the time I got home, they had cleaned up all the limbs. They had mowed. The only thing left for me to do when I got home was test the weird circuits and blow off the driveway. Beyond that, everything was already done. They were rock stars.
Nice.
So, yeah.
They were kidless.
They were. They didn't
it's amazing what you can get done.
That's exactly right. But here's the deal. Let's just mention this for a minute. An interlock system, you can do for less than $500. Right. And a generator, depending on what you get, even if you go with something the size that you have, you may not be able to run your AC on with that, but you can turn
everything else on.
Turn everything else, literally everything else other than your AC. Right. And maybe like if you've got an electric dryer and oven that runs off 30 amp, you probably don't want to run those.
We have a gas dryer.
Yeah. So that doesn't matter as far as that goes. But like you can run everything else, and you're probably going to set yourself back somewhere around $1,500.
Maybe for the generator?
Less. Yeah, maybe less.
Yeah, the most of them are going for about $1,000 right now.
So you can go get one that'll do pretty much everything in your house, plus an interlock system, maybe for $1,500 to get it installed. Yeah, and that's running on gas. It's not running on natural gas. I mean, you've got a whole different scenario if you're trying to run on natural gas. I'll just tell you the numbers. I mean, that when we bought our generator, it was $2,500. That very same generator is selling current. It just was on sale for $2,000, so you might be able to find it on sale. And then the gas line was about $1,000, and the interlock system was about $500.
Right.
So if you know $3,000,
Is that the plug and everything?
The plug and the interlock system, the cord. I mean that's really everything you need. You can get done for $2,500 to $3,000.
Right.
If you're doing natural gas, if you're just doing regular gasoline, $1,500.
Yeah.
Now I know that's a lot of money, but when the alternative is being without power for a week, maybe two, you kind of got to start doing math and going, where am I willing to spend my money, and how am I going to prep this out? So anyway, you know, that being said, our hearts truly go out to a lot of people that are still without power and trying to deal with trees that are down, and you know, insurance issues, all those sorts of things.
Real quick, because I saw one of these online, because I know the Duramax is a good one. Westinghouse, has a tri-fuel 1250 or 12,500, and it's basically $1,200.
Yeah,
it's
awesome.
$11.99.
I'll tell you, mine has a lot of bells and whistles on it.
Sure,
a lot of bells and whistles, like the remote start. It's got
this one, that one has it as well.
Got all kinds of craziness on it.
But I mean, you bought yours a year ago?
No, 2 years.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I mean, I would imagine prices on these have probably come down a little bit.
Well,
but I don't know that Westinghouse is a better brand than Duramax.
It's not a better brand. The Duramax has performed really, really well through this storm. A lot of people I've seen performed really, really well. The 15,000 watt is a hefty beast.
Sure.
So they've even got a 17,000 watt generator. Duramax does, but it's a dual fuel.
Not just propane and gas.
Not just propane. It'll do propane and gas. I mean, so
yeah,
you know, kind of pick your fuel as far as that goes.
Yeah.
And some people don't have natural gas, so it may not even be an option.
I'm surprised at how many neighborhoods don't.
Oh, I know. Well, I know we thought that we wouldn't whenever we started looking for land. We kind of got
lucky.
Fortunate. Yeah, we got lucky.
Yeah. Yeah, I always look, because sometimes you have these brands, and I don't know much about Westinghouse. I just remember seeing this one as a tri-fuel.
Yeah,
I'm always curious as to who makes the motor.
Yeah, this
that
one
I can't see.
This one I think is specifically made by Duramax.
It's their own proprietary motor.
Proprietary motor. But
it looks like this one is too.
I'm telling you, dude, it has been a beast.
If I could find a tri-fuel with a Honda motor.
Oh, well, yeah.
Take my money.
Yeah, I will tell you, a lot of people had trouble with Generacs that I saw. People that had Kohlers had zero issues. And then obviously people there were people out there that had Cummins engines going. Was like, okay, well, if you're starting to get into the diesel.
Oh, that's
crazy
pricey stuff.
Those are incredibly impressive.
You start talking about like 6 digits to get one of those installed.
Very, very pricey.
But I mean, like, reliable.
Yeah.
Power everything.
That's right.
Yeah, my parents have a Generac. They've had some issues with it.
Yeah.
But here's the big argument for the Generac, and I'll dirty little secret: some Generacs have Kohler motors in them.
They do.
But anyway, the argument for the Generac systems is like it'll come on when you're not there.
Right.
So the problem is when it doesn't.
Yeah.
So like during the winter storm, my parents, it didn't come on.
Yeah.
They had to go out and manually start it.
Yeah, that actually happened with someone at my church. Theirs came on for about 20 minutes and went off and still not working. And again, the one of the things that's really nice about mine, I can go out there and start it up a couple of times a year, and I'm good to go.
Well, I tell, because I think my wife's going to let me put in, I don't know if it'll be an interlock system or a, what's the other one?
Well, there's an interlock system that is like mine that goes in the entire box, or there's a separate box that you can put in.
That's the one I'm talking about.
That just runs like maybe 10 circuits,
right.
But you choose the 10, and those are the only ones that can work.
Right.
And there's pros and cons to both.
Sure.
I didn't want to limit myself.
Right.
So I put the one that will do the entire thing.
Right. And I'm trying to I just can't remember the name of the other one.
I can't either. Man. I don't either.
Anyway. Transfer switch.
A transfer switch. That's it.
What were we talking about?
Well, the fact that there's two different options, and you're talking about your wife maybe letting you put one in.
Yeah, no, I'm always going to be in the portable generator camp.
Yes.
Mostly because it's not just for my house.
No,
I can take it anywhere.
That's exactly right.
And it has multiple uses.
Yes, it does.
And like when you put one of those Generacs, I mean, like that's where it is.
Yeah, and you're spending, upwards of $13,000 to $15,000 potentially on some of those, and can't do anything.
Closer to 20 on some of them.
Yeah, and it depends on the size of your house and depends on what all you're running. But at the end of the day, it can only do that.
Yep.
And that's why I went with the
There's
portable.
no
route.
utility other than that.
That's exactly right. And I just, anytime I can have multi-use, that's what I want.
Oh yeah. You can take it to the deer camp. You can plug it into your RV if you got one.
Right.
I mean, lend it out to someone that doesn't have power.
Right.
So, which is what we ended up doing with ours.
Sure.
So,
there you go.
Yeah. Anyway, what about all this other hooey, man?
Oh my goodness.
That's why I wore my hat.
It's a good hat, man. It's a good hat.
It's 2 weeks have been nothing but hooey, man.
I'll tell you what. First of all, we live in a crazy world.
Yes.
I mean, I don't remember in my lifetime, and I know that this happened at a rally during Reagan's time.
It wasn't a rally.
That wasn't a rally?
No, it was just him walking to his car.
Yeah, that's what it was. So it was different.
It was a little different.
A little different.
But it did happen.
It did happen. But again, that was in my lifetime, but like barely. I was young, super young. I was, maybe 5 when that happened. But we have a situation where a man, and I don't care how you feel about him, a man's out there, advocating for his presidency again, and we've got issues.
Somebody took a shot at him.
So, yeah.
Hit him.
And hit him, and had he been turning his head another direction,
he'd be dead.
He'd be completely dead.
Yeah.
So I actually saw an interview with a doctor who was on the scene. He's an OBGYN, but he's a doctor who was on the scene and right next to the guy that actually got shot by that. They got hit by that bullet that was killed.
And he got shot in the head.
He got shot in the head, and the person interviewing was like, what kind of assistance were you able to render? And he was like, there was no assistance. Like, he was dead.
Yeah.
He was completely dead.
I think I saw that one where he was talking about there was brain matter.
Yeah.
Like splattered.
Right. And so, like, and his family was there, and, just talking about the fact that she said, have you been to one of these before? And he's like, no, I've never been able to go. I've always kind of wanted to go. And this one I was able to get off for and decide to go. And, I was actually sitting there thinking, man, if something bad were to happen, this seems awfully open.
Yeah.
Like this area seems awfully open. And if something were to bad were to happen, like, what would they do about it? And he said something bad did happen.
Yeah.
And, just kind of talking through that whole scenario. It's like, I don't know, man. We're in a place. There's all kinds of rumors out there about even the Secret Service and the guy that actually took the shot. And there's rumors out there about them. They haven't been substantiated yet, but some crazy stuff.
Well, I mean, the things that have been substantiated is that there's somebody out there that did that synced up a bunch of videos that people took while at the rally.
Yeah.
And they were able to sync it up because they could sync it up with the audio from the speech that he was given. And from the moment, because people in the audience saw the shooter.
Right.
And like, here's the thing, man, is like, if just normal civilians on the ground were aware, like, their attention should have been to the guy speaking and giving the speech, because that's what they're there to hear.
Right.
But like, it's so obvious that they see the shooter up on the roof, and now they're yelling out. You can hear them in the video, like, hey, there's a guy up there. Hey, he has a gun.
Right.
And they're like announcing this. They're telling it to authorities. And then you're hearing reports afterwards that guys were saying like, yeah, we saw that guy.
Yeah.
And he looked really suspicious.
Right.
And all these things. So they lined up those videos, and from the moment that people started announcing, hey, at least yelling that we know of, hey, there's a guy up on that roof with a gun, that they're shouting this out and telling it, from that moment to when he gets shot is just over 2 minutes. Jeez. It's like 2 minutes and 1 second.
That is a long time.
Yeah.
2 minutes?
And
you're telling me that they didn't have the ability to take care of something within 2 minutes?
Well, and you can also kind of see that, like, they knew where he was because how quickly they shot him.
Right. Oh.
Once he opened fire.
It was immediate almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like there's just a lot of people going like, why was this not stopped before he was able to take a shot?
Yep. Well, and also asking the question of like, of all the places that were on the perimeter of things that they were checking, that thing was what, 500 or 600 yards away?
No, it was only 120.
Okay, that's even worse.
It's even worse, right?
Maybe I'm thinking feet. I was thinking maybe I heard feet, 500 to 600 feet. How is that not something within the perimeter that you have checked, double checked, and quarantined, to make sure that it's completely safe at that point? It makes no sense. There's so many things that you look at and go, we should have done better. And I don't care. Again, I don't care if it was Trump or if it was Biden or if it's somebody else who's rallying. This should never have happened.
No,
we should have been able to avoid this. And I'll tell you, one of the things that really bothers me is afterwards. Did you read some of the headlines?
Oh yeah.
So okay,
Secret Service escorts Trump after falling.
Yeah, after falling, he falls at a rally. Here's another one that says Trump escorted away after loud noises.
Yeah,
at the rally.
Is that the CNN one?
Yeah, both of those. Well, that one was actually the Washington Post. The first one was CNN. The USA Today said Trump removed from stage by Secret Service after loud noises startles the former president.
Yep.
And here's another one. NBC News: Secret Service rushes Trump off stage after popping noises were heard. Popping. Okay. Yeah. Probably the one that bothered me the most. The one that bothered me the most was the Sunday Denver Post. Did you see this one?
Mm-mm.
Gunman dies in attack.
What? Okay.
That is the title of their front page article of Trump. He's got his hand up in the air, right?
Yeah.
The title is Gunman Dies in Attack.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, really? This is and now again, here's the thing that I want to say. For us to expect the liberal media to make non-liberal statements is a little bit crazy.
I don't know that it's a liberal statement as much as it is an attempt to mislead.
Well, I feel like for the conservative person that this happened to, it's a misleading statement by the liberal media. That's my point.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, it is what it is, but it is misleading. And after it happened, I wasn't watching whenever it happened.
Right.
And so I went searching and I'm like, oh, it's just, he fell. Oh, he heard loud noises. And I'm like, wait a minute. No, there was a gunshot. He actually got hit.
Mm-hmm.
This is an assassination attempt.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about it like that.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's, dude, like that whole, okay, I looked it up. It was 430 feet.
Oh gosh. So yeah, so the numbers I was thinking were feet, not
it's
yards.
like around 120 yards.
It's way too close.
Right.
For you not to have secured that area.
Yeah, it's crazy close.
It is.
I mean, like, I heard some guys on one of the shows I listened to talking about, I was like, my daughter could take that shot.
Right. 120 yards, that's people take those shots at deer all the time.
All the time.
All
accurately.
The time. Yes, absolutely.
So
it's not that far.
Yeah. So and like here's the thing, man, is it's been a very revealing couple of days. Like, there are absolute bags of human garbage out there that are talking about how they're really upset that the shooter missed. And
I know. That bothers
and
me.
also, like, guys like Destiny. Are you familiar with that guy?
Mm-hmm.
Like, out there saying, like, I'm not going to feel bad for somebody that got shot that was there cheering on a tyrant. And I'm like, that you're human garbage.
Right.
You're absolute trash.
Yeah.
Like, I'm done with you as a person. Like, I'm sorry. That's just reprehensible to say. And I mean, like, that's somebody's dad.
Yes.
It's somebody's brother, somebody's son.
That's right.
I don't care what his political affiliation
Doesn't
is.
matter.
You don't celebrate somebody's untimely death.
Right.
And murder.
It was murder. Absolutely murder.
And so, like, it's been very revealing. Are you familiar with the account Libs of TikTok?
No.
It she's on. It's actually a gal that runs the account, and she basically just goes around exposing people who say and do horrendous things via the internet.
Okay.
And she has been systematically combing X for people who have been saying things like this,
Oof.
and then posting their tweet or their, I don't know what they're calling it now.
I don't either.
Posting their post,
Yeah.
and then tagging their employer.
Oh.
And being like, "What you gonna do?" Because most of the people that she's been finding work for public institutions like schools, universities, hospitals, things like that.
This is the type of person you have working for you.
Right? Yeah. What are you gonna do about it?
Yeah.
And a lot of these people have been dismissed.
Oh wow.
And good.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's crazy. Like, it's one thing to think that. It's another thing to write it down and then post it for the world to see.
Yep. What's interesting is I've seen a lot of people reposting. I've not seen one that was reposted by the same person.
What do you mean?
I mean, like, I've seen multiple people repost a statement very similar to, like, hey, if you, okay, the one that I've seen more than anything, a similar post to this, if you think that what happened at the Trump rally is good,
oh, you talking about? I got you.
Unfriend me.
Yeah. I've seen that.
I've seen dozens of people repost that statement. All of them from different people that originated it.
Yes.
Which means there's just hundreds of people out there, maybe thousands,
right,
posting this. Now I have a lot of feelings about, if you think differently than me, then unfriend me. I don't really feel that way. However, I think the point is different than that. I think the point is, if you think taking a human life is okay and you're proud of it, then you and I are not.
Or if you're upset that a human life didn't get taken,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
then you and I think so differently.
We have fundamental differences on our philosophies.
Right. Then you and I don't need to be Facebook friends.
Right.
It's not that I don't care about who you are. Maybe
we don't need to be on the same continent. Honestly,
right. Definitely don't need to be Facebook friends. I get the sentiment at least. So it's just again, going back to what I said earlier.
Which I'm with you. I'm not typically like that about political things, but I also don't think that this is a political thing.
I don't either.
This is a human thing.
This is a human thing.
So
completely different scenario.
Yeah.
While it is based in political nature, it's like I said earlier.
Right.
I don't care if it's Trump or Biden or somebody else. You take someone's life. I don't see how you can celebrate that.
No, I would never ever. And like I have a hard time like being, because I'm not politically to the left. I have a hard time being frustrated with Biden at all.
Right.
Because, I mean, for the very reason that a lot of people are not happy with him right now.
Sure.
Which, here's the thing, man, is I was thinking, like, before the incident with Trump in Pennsylvania happened, I was like, man, Biden really screwed the pooch at that debate.
He sure did.
And I was like, I don't think it could get much worse than it is right now. Because, like, after the debate, like, a lot of the media turned on him. A lot of his party have turned on him and said, like, hey, you need to step away. You need to step down. I was like, man, it can't get much worse for Biden. And then this happens, and I'm like,
it's worse.
It's worse.
It's worse.
It's worse for him.
Yeah, as if it hadn't gotten bad enough for him.
Yeah.
Especially, like, even before that debate, you had the whole indictment stuff that people were rallying around.
Sure.
And then you had the debate, and now you have this. People are coming out of the woodworks.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah. It's an interesting one, man. And like my big issue with this shooting, and because I think we're going to learn a lot about the shooter in the weeks to come.
Yeah.
My problem is, now that this has happened, is who is going to take responsibility for the words that they've used to describe him. Because you can't tell me that you can continuously go around in public and deem somebody a threat to democracy, which is what they've been calling him for months.
Yeah.
A threat to democracy. And then calling him the next Hitler. That's one of like the ultimate ethic questions, right? Mm-hmm. Is if you could go back in time and murder Hitler, mm-hmm. would you do it before he had done any of those evil things? Would you do it? And there's a lot of people who hear that question and without even giving it a second thought will go, yeah, I'd go back and murder him in a second. And so these are questions that people ask themselves all the time. And so when you call a person in public, mm-hmm. over a microphone, mm-hmm. over media, you call him Hitler, you call him a threat to democracy.
Yep.
You say it long enough, loud enough, people are eventually going to believe it. Yep. And people there is enough people out there that even though there's a lot of people that believe things and don't do anything about their beliefs, there's lots of people that believe things and will do something about their beliefs.
Yep.
I don't know that was his belief, the person that did this shooting.
It's hard to know.
I think we're going to learn a lot.
Yep.
And I'd be surprised if that's not the case.
I would too. I mean, the dude's 20.
Yeah.
He's 20 years old.
Right.
So to get to a point where you are politically active enough at mm-hmm. the age 20, it's I don't know. I got a lot of questions.
I just want to know if any of those politicians and media personalities that have been saying and parroting those things, and also, by the way, were the same people who were saying and parroting that because of Trump's language, January 6th happened. And I don't know that I disagree with them. That because of his language, those things happen.
Sure.
But they've been willing to, persecute him.
Of course.
And say that he's ultimately responsible
yep.
for everything that happened that day.
Right.
Okay, so now are you responsible for everything that happened at this rally?
Yeah.
Because we have to operate on the same standard.
The question has to be asked. If one is true, the other has to at least be questioned.
So, if so, then I need all of you to fess up.
Right.
And apologize.
Right. And change. Right.
Just stop saying stupid crap.
Don't exactly. Yeah.
Hyperbolic BS for news and clicks. I'm sorry. Just be done with it.
Right.
I'm tired of it.
It is the new craziness of anything in our world
mm-hmm.
is the fact that every piece of information is immediately available.
Yeah.
And you can say you don't like the phrase all day long, but when you and I grew up, that wasn't the case.
Mm-hmm.
We had to wait till the 10 o'clock news to come on, or 6 o'clock news, I guess, to know what was going on.
Right.
And
or read a newspaper.
Read a newspaper the next day.
Yeah.
I mean, things didn't come out in such a way that every piece of information is readily available in the exact moment. And even if the newspaper came out, we wouldn't have some of the information like these, images and videos,
right.
strung together, in this way. We're just living in a world where all of this is so readily available. And truth be told, there's stuff out there right now about what happened that is unsubstantiated at the
right.
moment.
Yeah.
And until it is, we kind of need to operate that way. We don't know if it's true.
Yeah.
So act like we don't know that it's true, Not everything you read on the internet is true, by the way. I don't know if you knew that.
How dare you, Kevin?
I know. Unless you hear it here.
Well, yeah, everything here is absolutely 100% true.
That's right.
So I've got two other little tidbits for you.
Okay.
One, I think this changed the nature of this election, like astronomically.
I agree.
And I'll give you like just an instance as to what I mean by that. I was sitting around with a group of guys on Sunday just talking about everything that happened, and not everybody in that group is a Trump fan.
Okay.
And we were talking about the shooting. And we were talking about what happened after the shooting. Because what happened after the shooting is more incredible than anything. Because the dude, I don't know if you've listened to any of the audio.
I have.
But he's like, let me get my shoes and just wait a minute.
Yep.
So that he can stand up, put his fist in the air, and yell, fight, fight, fight.
Right.
And you learn, anybody that's ever been in a horrific situation like that, you learn about a lot about yourself.
Oh yeah.
When the guns start shooting and everything starts flying through the air.
Typically speaking, you either run away or you run toward.
Right.
You or you paralyzed to the point where you have
Paralyzed
no ability to do anything.
Right. And like for me, my big one was, and I don't know if we've ever talked about this in the show, was back in '99 at the bonfire.
Yeah.
Like that thing fell right in front of me. I learned a lot about myself that night.
Sure.
Stuff I liked and stuff I didn't like.
Sure.
But I also learned that how I would never behave in a tragic situation again. Because there was some good stuff that I did.
Yeah.
And there was some stuff that I was like, man, I could have done that better.
Yeah.
You learn a lot about yourself. What I saw in that man was, I mean, that dude was pissed.
Yes.
He was ready to fight. He wasn't saying y'all need to fight. He was saying I'm fighting.
I'm not going down swinging.
Yeah.
Without swinging, I mean.
So I'm sitting around with some guys, and here's the one comment that I walked away with. I was like, this is why it changes everything. This guy goes, I don't really like Trump all that much, but that was pretty badass. And I was like, yeah.
It was.
Like every guy in America that watched that, I mean, and there's I'm sorry, there's just some asshats out there that are, the ones that are out there is like, this is staged, this is fake. Come on. How dare they didn't, maybe that guy just needed better shooting training. I mean, it's just all that kind of dumb. Those guys are out there. But like any actual man that has testosterone in his body looked at that and went, that's pretty badass.
Yeah. They look at it and go, I hope I would have reacted.
Exactly. That's how
scenario.
I hope I would have responded to the
exactly
situation.
Right.
Because I don't know that you could have responded to it any better than that.
Sure. Yeah. No, the response in him was, I will not allow something like this to keep me down.
Right.
What's real interesting is you even hear people in the media saying, well, it'll be real interesting in the days to come to see how Trump responds to this. I mean, he's already had a lot of adversity. We'll see if this is something that derails him. I'm like, did you even watch what happened?
Yeah.
Were you even aware? Did you even see what happened? Because what happened was not a guy going, you know what? I think I might be done now. I don't know if I can handle this any longer.
There are men in this world that would have had that happen to them and said, you know what? I'm good.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And just walked away.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing.
Sure.
That could be the way that you need to respond to that situation.
Exactly.
Everyone needs, like, that dude stood up and said, nope.
Right.
Not today.
Not today.
So the other thing I thought was, at least that I thought that you would appreciate, is he nominated.
I saw that.
Or J.D. Vance.
I saw that.
Was he's the vice presidential pick.
A former critic.
Former critic.
Yeah.
A New York Times bestseller that was turned into a movie.
Yep.
Like my wife called me today and she's like, I loved that book.
Yep. Yeah.
Mostly because she relates to it. Like she's from the same part of the country as him.
Oh, okay.
And so she was like, that sounds like my family.
Yeah.
But interesting fact.
Okay.
If elected, will be the first vice president with facial hair in over 100 years.
Well, that
alone should just ignite the bearded community everywhere.
Everywhere. That is hilarious because that is not something that I would have thought about. And he keeps it pretty tight.
No, he's got a nice beard.
Not like anything like this going on.
No, I mean, but like, he keeps it nice. But like, it's not common in politics.
It really isn't. It's
anymore.
funny because I have a lot of people that whenever I would tell them that whenever I was officiating football, I had to shave my beard, and they were like, "Why?"
Yeah.
Well, that sounds ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "Well, it is a professionalism thing." They were like, "Well, that's stupid."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, look at the number of people in the world that are in like high professional like jobs
that
have beards. They don't exist very often.
No,
they don't.
I think it's becoming less and less of a thing.
It absolutely is. The times they are changing.
Yeah.
However, you look and you start looking at high officials, CEOs, people like that, and they don't have facial hair. Yeah. I don't know what it is. Something about it.
I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I'm excited. Because he looks kind of like a
yeah.
And he's young, man.
He's 39 years old.
I know. So
I mean, goodness gracious.
if nothing else, man, I mean, like you want to talk about like invigorating the party, getting some fresh blood in there,
Yep.
like that. I mean, that's how you do it. Also,
Yep.
like apparently he's really smart and very well spoken, and I'm really looking forward to a vice presidential debate because I think that could actually be like way more substantive
Right.
than the presidential debate.
Right. Right. You're not wrong. Like we might actually have a real debate.
Yeah. Although, I mean, like, it could go really bad because, I mean, like, debates is what knocked, is it Kamala?
Kamala Harris.
That's what knocked her out of the running for the presidential nomination
Right.
in 2020.
Right.
Tulsi Gabbard took her down.
Yep.
And, like, it was
pretty simple. It didn't take
it was
long.
brutal, though.
It was brutal. I loved it. I may have loved it.
So yeah. I got to be honest. I was actually, because she defected from the Democrat Party.
Yeah.
I was actually kind of hoping that she would be the VP.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, she's still active military.
Right.
Former congresswoman, very popular.
Sure.
Very well spoken.
Yep.
Articulate. I mean, just across the board. And I like not someone that I agree with on everything.
Sure.
But I thought like could be a pick that could bring like a lot of unity.
Yeah.
To the country. Former Democrat, a woman. But unfortunately, we went with another white guy.
Yep.
So
surprise,
not that. I mean, like, look, if he's the best guy, great.
Bring him on.
But like,
yep.
Maybe we could have gone another direction.
Maybe.
But he's got the beard.
He does have the beard, and I'm just saying that might get my vote.
Yeah.
Come on, beards.
Yeah. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching the episode.
Yeah.
Or listening to the episode.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us on this. What was not, it was funny whenever Craig, said, hey, it's time to record another episode. I was like, all right, guess it's Hurricane and Trump, isn't it? And he's like, yep. That's what we're talking about.
Let's do it.
So thanks for joining us. If you got any questions, send us an email, info@homeownershow.com. If you've not already liked and subscribed to our channels, please do so. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all the things. And tell your friends about us. They probably want to hear it. And, until next time, we'll see you later.
See ya.
So something really odd happened at some point, and I didn't notice it until maybe the last 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have any audio coming through.